Numbers are impressive between Brady and Belichick. I want to say it's Yoda and Luke Skywalker. Some see them as the Emperor and Darth. However, are they the best duo?
I think
Kyle?
not yet. I think not yet, Kay. And I think Krieger was all over it because pure numbers. All right, so Belichick's been with Brady 17 seasons, 16 as a starter. They got 4 titles. Pop and Duncan are unbelievable what they did. They had 19 years, 5 titles. And I think it's very different because I think the basketball relationship is much more intimate. It's much more constant. And more than anything, guys, the Spurs are playing 100 games a year. That's 50 times a year. They're traveling together. They're in each other's ears. 19 years. And look, they went through the post-Jordan. They went through the Kobe. They went through the LeBron era. They went through it all. And they did it better than anybody. It's kind of interesting because they're not sexy. They're not the Showtime Lakers. They're not the Jordan Bulls. But they're the best I've ever seen. I think Brady and Belichick can run them down. But I still think it's those guys in San Antonio out in front. I do.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because at the end of the piece, Kriegel said Belichick and Brady are just getting started. And that's scary because if they're just getting started, then it seems like most definitely they'll have a chance to be the best duo head coach player of all times at some point. But I'd like to argue that MJ, Phil Jackson, they have to be in that conversation. I mean, they were so dominant and so entertaining.
And he got the most out of Michael Jordan.
He got the most out of Michael Jordan, and similar to Brady, Michael Jordan got the most out of his players that he played with. And you look at the guys when they left Chicago, none of them are really the same. It's similar to when players leave New England. None of them are really the same. I don't know if their time is up when they're done in New England. I don't know if their time was up in Chicago. But what Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan were able to do with certain players that became household names, I mean, guys you really think of on the other team, you know, B.J. Armstrong, Craig Hodges, you know, Luke Longley, these guys that we fell in love with.
John Paxson.
John Paxson, we fell in love with. Steve Kerr, you know, these guys were household names, and all of a sudden, you know, on different teams, they were different.
Nate.
But I'll say this about Jordan before I let you go on, KB. When Jordan took over, it was more obvious. Like it seemed like he carried the load a lot more than Brady has to, which means, to me, you have to give a little bit more credit to Belichick. Because oftentimes Phil would just say, MJ, do your thing, and he would go. And we'd see the weight of the world on Jordan's shoulders, and he'd bring a championship home. It's not necessarily like that with Tom Brady. It's a combination of Tom Brady, his ability, his skill set, his IQ, and the intelligence of the coaching staff.
I'm going to stick on the hardwood here, and I'm going to go in the college ranks. Because to me, when you look about coach and player, it's who's going to get the most out of each other. And I'm going back to the early 70s. This might not light up Twitter, but Bill Walton and Coach John Wooden to me.
Sure, man.
Bill Walton showed up, and he was this gangly guy who had a debilitating stutter. And John Wooden, if you listen to what Bill Walton has to say about John Wooden, he owes his life to John Wooden.
Constantly. Coach Wooden, he calls
Coach Wooden still, and it's the pyramids of success and all this stuff. They won 2 national titles. He was the 3-time NCAA Player of the Year. He was obviously a fantastic, you know, the game against Memphis where he had 21 of 22. We could go through the stats. But from everything that Bill Walton says, he lives today to tell the stories of what Wooden meant to him as a man, as a player, and as now a father, and obviously an emeritus of the NBA as well. So it's what they got out of each other and what they can carry on. And I think when you go to the amateur ranks, I think you can make more of an impact than the professional ranks. So I look at the college coaches. I look at, obviously, a Coach K. I look at a John Wooden. I look even now in the modern college game, Nick Saban on some of these Alabama kids and how they impact their lives and what they can take those lessons with them. So combos over the years, Bill Russell and Red Auerbach won 9 championships. I don't think you're ever going to match those rings. Obviously, Phil Jackson won with another group of guys with Kobe and Shaq. But as far as impact, player, coach, and what they did for their team and their school and each other, I look at John Wooden and
I love the way you define it, getting the best out of each other.
100%. And it's frustrating here talking about Phil and Mike because if not for some very strange circumstances, they probably would have won 8 titles in a row. He goes to play baseball. There's a lot of theories about why he left the NBA, some true, who knows. But would have won 8 in a row. And isn't it interesting that we all talk basketball coaches? To think about it, a football coach has got 53 guys to divide his attention to. He spends a lot with the quarterback. But the basketball coach has 12. And look at what's happened even recently. Look at how that relationship can go toxic. George Karl throwing those guys under the bus. Phil Jackson wrote a book in which he smashed Kobe and then continued to coach him. So that relationship
LeBron throwing David Blatt under the bus.
Getting him fired? Exactly right. I mean, look, it can happen quickly.
I want to say it's Tim Duncan and Pop, but they have 5 rings. MJ and Phil have how many?
6.
6. So I don't know if I can say that because that ring's huge. Brady has 4. If he gets 5, that'll be more than anyone has, more than Montana, right? So I guess my question to you guys is, if they're just getting started, let's say they are, what do they have to do to sort of not have this conversation?
I think football-wise it's done because Bill Walsh only won 3 with Montana. Seifert won the 4th. Chuck Noll and Bradshaw, from what I gather,
but what do you need
it wasn't always a parade, a party
rings?
for them. Yeah, no, I don't think I need to see anything from them. And to me, the most iconic thing about their relationship is the longevity, obviously, but his rookie year, Belichick kept on 4 quarterbacks on an active roster. Think about that now. Now you get 2. No teams carry 3. I mean, very rare do you ever see 3. 4, because he had Michael Bishop, he had Brock Heward or Damon Heward, and he had, obviously, Bledsoe. But he liked this 6th-round pick out of Michigan so much that he wouldn't risk cutting him and letting any other team have it. So out of a 53-man roster, he had 4 different quarterbacks. Only one can play. He kept him on the entire season, and that, to me, is the ultimate thing that he knew he could get the most out of this guy, and this is the future of our franchise before everyone even had a clue.